Hello, everybody.
Hey, we did it.
We did it. Did we do it? We're
Better late
sure.
than never. Yeah,
Better.
we're
Hey, you know
live.
what? Fuck it. We did it. We did the thing.
We're
Um,
here. Good night,
we're here.
everybody. We made it work.
Thanks for coming. Um, welcome to another episode of Blackman Beyond. I am Marc Bernardin here with my man J.C. Reifenberg.
Hello.
Um,
I got my own box tonight.
you get your own box set. You don't have to
Yeah.
BAMF nowhere. You have
Yep.
welcome to the four wall world where you are pinned in by your hopes and dreams. Um, we are here sans Kev for reasons that I think if you're a Kevin Smith fan, if you're a member of the USQ universe, you've already heard the news. But Kev lost his mom about a week ago, and so he is taking the time that he needs to process this, and to live with it and sit with it and begin to find whatever the foundations of a world are on the other side of it. We're here for him whenever he'd like to come back. The box is always warm and waiting for him. Um, but yes, we carry on in his name and in Grace's name. We do this one last time, or one more time. I don't know. I had Spider-Verse in my head. Um, so yeah. But we're fucking here. We're at the end of the year. We are all of us getting a little bit older, dude. I was talking to you a little bit about this before we got on the Zoom. I had a somewhat momentous week. Um, the least part of that momentousness was today as I was driving home from work. A little girl was in the crosswalk going across, but she was skipping across the crosswalk. She must have been like 9 years old. I haven't seen a person skip anywhere in like 30 years. I also don't remember what it was like to have such a carefree world that skipping was not even like an option, but was the thing I was going to do.
Yeah, my daughter learned to skip in school at some point in the last few months, and she wanted to skip with me. And I skipped, and she skipped, and it's an odd thing to do.
It's an odd thing to do. And also, like, on the other side of 54, my ankles cannot really do a skip anymore. So there was a little bit of jealousy of like, A, would
Mm-hmm.
love to be so carefree that just fucking let's skip. But also B, I am not sure that I could even pull off a legitimate skip without a we got to slow this down. Let's go back to a saunter. Know what? Fuck it. We're just back to a walk. Um, so that was both lovely and a little horrifying to see myself on the other side of skip land. Um,
Yeah,
you
it
know,
it reminded me of. Do you remember Skip It, the toy? I don't know if it was
yes.
Hasbro or Mattel. That was like it's like a hula hoop for your ankle, kind of.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that just seems like, hey, I'd like to feel what it's like to be boloed by a fucking lawman. I'll just do it to myself.
Yeah, what does it
Um,
feel like if Batman gets his batarang around your ankles? Well, we have
yeah,
the toy for you.
pretty much. The Lord Humongous wants to have a word, and you just got fucking boloed around the ankles. Um, so that was cool. But lightweight, a little bit, self-contained, fleeting, a fleeting skip, if you will. The more momentous thing, well, there were two momentous things, I guess. Let's get to the second one, which was I had a birthday. As I said, I'm on the other side of 54. Um, which, as my grandfather used to ask me every year when I'd have a birthday, he's like, "How do you feel?" I was like, "Well, same as yesterday. I went from 15 to 16. Now the difference between 53 and 54 uh, is also not quite as like it's only just a year, but the deeper you get into it, the more things either start happening or stop. Um, I did have a birthday party. I had a lovely birthday party. I decided to throw myself a fucking birthday party. Um, and JC was kind enough to allow me to give him money to use the Scum and Villainy
On a
as the
Saturday
names
night from
on a
7 to
Saturday fucking
9,
night.
which we never do.
I know, but like I figured I got a job. I have this money. Let me give it to a friend so he can allow me to have some friends over. I don't have friends over to my house anymore. but fuck it, let's have friends over to JC's house.
Yeah, one of your friends who came in, I knew a little bit. I had done a game show with Phil Lamar, gosh, 10 years ago, and then he had come to Scum and Villainy once or twice, um, pre-pandemic,
Mm.
and I saw him walk through the front door. And Phil Lamar is the nicest person on earth,
Oh
and
god.
and so I go, oh my god! And there's only like what, 6 people, 7 people in the whole restaurant at this point.
Yeah, he
I go,
came early.
oh my god, Phil Lamar is here, and he had a giant happy birthday balloon for you.
Yeah,
And
so
he
sweet.
looked at me, had no idea who I was, like I was a crazy fan on the street. And I saw it in his eyes. He didn't say anything. He's too nice to say anything, but his body language said everything I needed to know. And I was like, oh God, uh-oh. He doesn't recognize me. I was like, hey, I'm JC, the Scum and Villainy. He's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And tried to walk past me. And then I felt really bad. And I was like, I don't know if maybe he didn't realize it was like a private event. So I wasn't just some crazy. And then I go, no, I loved you. I went here. I go, I loved you in Paradise Records. And he looked at me like, the fuck is Paradise Records? Which is Logic's movie that Phil has a cameo in. He obviously knows what Paradise Records was. This was like a leave me alone. And I was like, it was great. You were so funny. He goes, okay, thank you. And he hightailed it over to your area as fast as he possibly could. So I'm sorry, Phil Lamar. I came in too hot. I should have led with a handshake and reintroduction of myself.
But it's so easy to do because Phil Lamar is, as you said, like the nicest dude in the world. Um, and everybody in the world is a fan of something he was in.
Mm-hmm.
So the desire to be like, "Oh, oh." I always call him Uncle Phil, and I know that he doesn't quite love that, but I don't care. He can be my uncle from Fresh Prince. If I'm the Fresh Prince, he's Uncle Phil. Um, but yeah, sweetest fucking dude. But yeah, it was a lovely party, lots of friends, even friends of friends who I hadn't met, but who were terrific folks. Um, and then we hightailed out of there before it turned into like Saturday night at Scum and Villainy, which blood on the floor. I mean, easy, just lightsaber battles in the
Arms everywhere.
alley, arms everywhere. Did I tell you I bought myself a lightsaber for my birthday?
No, but I saw it on your social.
I did. I went to Disneyland. I went to Galaxy's Edge and I made my reservation and I went into the Gatherer's Den and I was like, you know what? Again, I got a job. It's time for frivolous purchases for my birthday. So I bought myself a fucking lightsaber. And at first, I can be a little jaded when it comes to I am not the dude who would have gone to the Star Cruiser in costume. I'm just not that person, right? But when you walk into the Galaxy's Edge, when you walk into that Smith shop, and when the gatherers are there telling you the lore and the tale, and like you're building your lightsaber, and they're talking about the various crystals and the various, you know, when you're confronted with that much in world, the resistance to it begins to fade,
Mm-hmm.
and then by the time you're 10 minutes in, and they're like, hoist your sabers up to the sky. And then Yoda's voice comes on. Spoilers if you've never bought a lightsaber at Galaxy's Edge. But then like Yoda's voice gets piped in and talks about, fucking the spirit of the Force and what it means to be a part of a continuum of Jedi over time and blah, 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 blah. You're like, I'm fucking here, and that's fucking Yoda, and I just built a lightsaber, and this lightsaber works. And then everybody fucking sparks up a lightsaber in the dark room, and just nothing but light into the sky, and you're like, I'm here. You got me.
When I read your post, I look, I have like you seen behind the curtain of Oz way too many times to not be jaded by sports and Star Wars and Hollywood and all of those things. But there are those moments. I'll tell a story later on that, where you just become like 8 years old again.
Yeah.
And I could tell from your post Like, I got a little emotional seeing that your emotion came through on Instagram because your caption was something like, "Oh, purple lightsaber, something, something." And you were like, "I prefer to think that this kyber crystal came from the
Yeah. Vibranium.
meteorite that of vibranium or something along those lines." And it
Yeah.
was like the ultimate, like, oh my God, what a perfect crossover that would be. Where's that Marvel comic?
Yeah. I mean, it's, I am by nature a skeptic, but in those like 15 minutes, it became sort of like, why hold on to that, man? Like, just let go.
Mm-hmm.
Trust your feelings, Luke. And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. There's no point in resisting. Cast your spell on me, Disney. Do the thing. And, it was kind of wonderful and kind of magical. And then, yeah, then you walk through the rest of the day carrying your lightsaber on your back just in case you might need it. Some shit might pop off. Um, but yeah, it was kind of wonderful. And again, because I'm a nerd, I'm like, yeah, I mean, there was a meteor that landed on Earth, an asteroid that landed on Earth at some point that put vibranium in the heart of Wakanda. Where that asteroid come from? Would it have come from an asteroid field that we saw in Star Wars, a long time ago in a galaxy
Yeah.
far, far away? Why not? Why couldn't it have been? And then, hey, dear Marvel, here's what I want now. I now want Star Wars meets Black Panther.
I mean, it'd
Uh,
be fun. At this point, why not? What if?
what if? That's the thing. We got a whole
There.
fucking.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No. That's
I,
that's
I
it.
was
Like,
just gonna say there was a comic book that came out years ago, Star Wars Tales, and in the Star Wars Tales comic book, it was Indiana Jones, in search of the Sasquatch or Bigfoot, and he goes through this whole jungle, and he sees the Bigfoot swinging on vines and stuff, and it turns out Bigfoot was Chewbacca, and there is a crashed Millennium Falcon, which I thought, I
no
was like,
notes.
oh, you know.
No notes. I mean, it's and again, like we are all capable of being reduced to our 7-year-old selves by the right combination of stimuli. And why not? Just let it go. Just embrace the ridiculousness. And then just maybe you might find a path through it. Um, before we go any further, I think have we ticked the meter, JC? Have we
Yeah, I think we can get into the I was trying to come up with a good pun. The bullshit.
you
I
know
don't know. That's not quite there, but
I mean, I would say that any other sponsor might have an issue with that particular phrasing, but I bet you that the sponsor behind this episode of Black Man Beyond will not. This episode is brought to you by the good folks at Tushy. Remember, a-hole is only a naughty word if you wipe. For a limited time, our listeners get 10% off their first bidet order when you use the code FATMAN10 at checkout. That's 10% off your first bidet order at hellotushy.com. HELLOTUSHY.com with promo code FATMAN10. So, a-hole, stuffing slot, gravy spout, Santa's coal hole. They're only naughty words if you wipe. Your friend who's experiencing a full body betrayal in the bathroom does not want a beard oil kit. He does not want razors. He does not want, he might want new underpants, but the thing that he really wants, daily dignity and an endless luxury that they'll actually use with a Tushy bidet. And whether you're shopping for a bro, CEO, daddy, activist, or someone who lights their farts on fire, give the gift that refuses to pack a lane. Give them a Tushy.
I have a Tushy, and I did not buy it, and I have to tread carefully here. My wife got it after the birth of our second baby because women's things happen to women's bodies when they have kids, and she wanted the bidet, and so we got the bidet. I installed the bidet. It took, I don't know, like 6 minutes. I'm kind of handy, so if you were completely unhandy, maybe 20 minutes. I don't even think I had to bring any tools in from the garage. Um, and I use the Tushy. And it is I got to be honest, I was a little afraid at first to use the Tushy. I'm very traditional when it comes to almost everything, and I I wasn't really ready to give up the TP, but I love gadgets.
Oh,
So I was like, I got to see how this. I got to see what it does. I got to see how it does.
that's a
And
combination.
my Tushy has a little slider on the side that helps you aim.
Ooh.
And it's got the pressure dial. And at first I was like, whoa. But now when I use the Tushy, I don't know if this is proper use, but I use the adjuster to give me a stream of water wipe to make sure I get everything. And
You know?
I have let's see if I can say this without being disgusting. I have a lot of hair on my head at almost 45 years old. I think a lot of people start to lose their hair by my age. I have enough hair that I shave it off just to be a jerk to people who don't have hair. I have no hair on my chest at all. So like here to here, I have no hair. But that's not the case other places. And I will tell you that if you're like me, the Tushy is fantastic. I got through that without being too
You did.
gross.
You did. I think you definitely navigated those canals without ever hitting the rocky shoals of the Santa holes. Um, but listen, Tushy is the everyday luxury bidet that instantly transforms your bathroom habits and bottom health for life. It's the perfect gift to indulge every personality on your list. Tushy bidet is a daily techie luxury that's refreshingly practical and easy to use. 99% of people who wash with Tushy Wave feel cleaner and fresher after going to the bathroom. Tushy Wave instantly modernizes your daily routine and bathroom with a super sleek seat plus two separate front and rear nozzles for the most complete clean. Every Tushy bidet easily attaches to your existing toilet without the need for additional plumbing. This is daily decadence with practical benefits. Over half the people who wash with Tushy soothe their hemorrhoids, and 9 out of 10 people reduce itching and discomfort. So listen, it's so easy to use. You sit, cleanse, dry using the built-in air dryer. That's right, cleaning yourself after using the bathroom is now hands-free. Every Hello Tushy bidet comes with a 30-day hassle-free return and a 12-month warranty. So remember, a-hole is only a naughty word if you wipe. So for a limited time, our listeners get 10% off their first bidet order when you use the code FATMAN10 at checkout. That's 10% off your first bidet order at hellotushy.com with promo code FATMAN10 at checkout. We want to thank the good folks at Tushy for sponsoring this episode of Fatman/Blackman Beyond.
I will say, I'll give one hint to all of you who are going to get Tushies as gifts for the holiday season or who are going to purchase Tushies for yourself or a loved one. The water pressure, I am right by the pumping station for LA County.
Oh, shit.
So a water pressure that comes into a house is supposed to be regulated at, I don't know, 100 PSI or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Mine is 145.
Holy damn.
So if you're like me, start on the low setting and work yourself up to the full bum wash setting on the dial.
I mean, you don't want to be like sandblasting your asshole, like getting barnacles off a ship.
I mean, but it's the ability is there if you need it.
Right.
You
I
know?
mean, treat yourself, but treat yourself gently.
Work into it.
Build up to it. You know, your average person doesn't climb Everest right off the bat.
Yeah, start with like Mount Baldy over here before you get to Everest.
100%. And I'll finish my momentous week
Oh
stories
yeah.
with sort of the big one, which is, as I turn 54, when a person over those years lives a life. I have children. And one of them, it's a milestone I not gonna say I didn't expect. I did not expect to feel the way I felt about it once it happened, which is I just paid for my son's last semester of tuition as an undergrad in college. Um, and like I'm not gonna say I didn't think anything of it because of course I did. In fact, I thought it wouldn't be possible like a decade ago, which is when like I deforested my 401k over the course of a couple of jobs when times were tight and got to make rent and like these babies need shoes and like you're like all right, I don't know about retirement. I definitely don't know about college planning, but I had a very good decade. And that decade, was spent with just putting a lot of fucking money in the bank, like very fast and very hard. And like, and then to be able to do that thing, which is provide a college education for your kid without them having to take on any debt at all. Which I had to pay for some of my college. I had student loans to pay off. It sucked. I was not a doctor or anything, so I didn't have like 7 years of and $400,000 of debt. But even still, it was substantial enough to follow me for a while. So to be able to gift a child a college education, um, it feels like it's an accomplishment. It's a sense of closure. It's a sense of good responsibility. You know what I mean? Like there's this episode of The West Wing that I love. I think it's called 20 Days in America. It's like the two-part premiere of season 3 or 4, where Toby Ziegler, who's the president's or press secretary, his mouthpiece. He's the one who writes all the speeches. Press secretary is the wrong word. But they run into a guy in a bar who's visiting a college with his daughter. And he's like, I don't know how I'm going to pay for it. He's like, but I'm going to have to find a way. She wants to go to Notre Dame, and Notre Dame is expensive. And the line is something like, it should be hard. It's a man's work putting a kid through school. It's hard, but it should be hard. But I just wish it was a little bit easier. Is that conversation? And so, like, yeah, it was hard, but it feels like, I'm not going to say the last thing that I will do as a father for my son, because I'm sure there will be lots of like, hey, dad, can I borrow like 20 grand to move to Miami or whatever? Or, hey, dad, can I borrow X? Hey, can I whatever? But like, this is the last reel. He was a child when he started, and now he's an adult. And it's the last thing that I will have done for him over the course of that time.
My so your son came to your birthday and
Yeah.
ordered a blue milk, which blew my mind. Because I literally, it feels as if it was this time last year you were telling the story about driving your son to San Diego
Yeah.
to college for the first time.
Yeah.
I cannot believe it's been 4 years
It's been 3.5 years
or
already.
three
Like
and a
he
half years.
graduates
Like
in
I
May.
just, it is mind blowing.
I don't know where the time went. I the last party I threw at Scum and Villainy was my 50th, and that feels like it was just yesterday.
It feels like it was last October or
Yeah,
November, you know?
yeah. So, but yeah, like that was it did sort of sit me back a little bit in the like, you know, it was the Antonio Banderas meme from the film it's from is Assassins, but it's just Antonio Banderas like leaning back, just like, ooh, I think I'm gonna kill Sylvester Stallone now. But that weird like accomplishment and exhaustion and excitement and all of those things. But yeah, so that was pretty fucking huge, and I'm pretty proud of that. Proud of him. I'm proud of me. I'm proud of all of us. Um, so I wanted to share that with the people who mean something to me, which is I don't know how many we got here, 392 of you who decided with no notice whatsoever to come and hang out with us
Yeah.
on a Wednesday night.
Yeah. It's crazy. I remember my daughter was born in November of 2020, which not the most stable of times, but I had in August of that year gotten the daytime programming for the Democratic National Convention. And this is the start of my journey towards what the story you just told is. I did the daytime programming of the Democratic National Convention. If they knew that I was doing it on a 2016 MacBook Pro and a 2011 Mac Pro Tower, they probably would not have given me the job, but I did. And then I did 5 of the hardest days of work I've ever done in my whole life. And it just, whatever your political beliefs were, it was just intense work, Kamala Harris was zooming into my computer. Nancy Pelosi was zooming into my computer. And if I fuck up, it's a meme and, they don't have a chance. So it was intense and I got $5,000 and the baby's on the way. And I took that $5,000 and I bought the streaming computer that we are still streaming this show on today. And just on faith. And I started getting tons of political live stream offers. And then I got Hollywood Reporter from that. And I was live streaming from 3 o'clock in the morning until 10 p.m. every single night, 7 days a week. And the first money I ever got, the first big check I ever got from all of that, before Jen and I put money away, before we did anything, I super funded Jocelyn's college fund because I was like, I don't even know if college is going to be around when this kid turns 18, but if I don't do something right now, I'm going to spend this money on more dumb shit, and I need to put it into a place that is safe for her future. So that's what I did. And then we just had Heidi, and Jen was like, we got to do that for Heidi. And I was like, oh, honey, it's not 2020 anymore. Nobody's working. I don't know where that money's going to come from today. So,
well, you know where it'll come from. It'll come from you opening another bar.
There we go. Okay. So here comes the announcement, for the people who have been sweating that we're closing the bar. We're not. But before I talk about this, I have to read this thing and then we can make fun of it. It's like, you ever see those ads for on TV for a drug and they talk about the drug for 8 seconds and then there's
possible side effects,
6 minutes of possible side effects and disclaimers. I got to do that right now and then we'll get into it. I'm not selling drugs, but I have to say, we are testing the waters to gauge investor interest in offering under regulation crowdfunding. No money or consideration is being solicited. If sent, it will not be accepted. No offer to buy securities will be accepted. No part of the purchase price will be received until Form C is filed and only through Wefunder's platform. Any indication of interest involves no obligation or commitment of any kind. Okay, let me explain what that means. It means that right now, for the first time ever, although you and Kevin have known about it forever, because through the pandemic, you guys were our friends. We hung out, me and Mark and Kevin hung out with you guys all the time. We are opening up an equity crowdfund with Wefunder to open the next Scum and Villainy. And I wanted to announce it here with the Fat Man Beyond people, the Blackman Beyond people, because I celebrated my 40th birthday with you guys. Literally, I streamed on my 40th birthday. That's where we all just hung out right here. So that you guys had the first chance, because we have some super cool perks that I have to be very careful about talking about. But Mark is involved and Kevin is involved. And I'll get into the nitty gritty of it a little bit more. But
say what the thing is. You haven't said what the thing is yet.
We're opening it. It's going to be called Scum and Villainy Cantina Rendezvous. and it's going to be in downtown Burbank, with the idea that our little tiny cantina in Hollywood is not going to be big enough. So we're like almost tripling the size in a brand new space in Burbank, right by the bronze Batman statue, underneath the AMC 16 movie theater. So we'll be able to do some like really, really cool stuff. And the idea is, the hope is, the reason, if you don't live in Southern California, you should keep listening to me, is the plan is that this is going to be our headquarters, or our home one for spreading across the galaxy. And we get this built with the hope that we can start putting these in a city near you, is the hope. So this is stage one. So I need everybody's help to get us through stage one, because this is the hardest part. And then we'll have some cool stuff for all you guys beyond that. You want to see? I've got some videos. Do you guys want to see some videos? Okay, we'll play this. We'll see how people in chat react. And I know Kevin's not on the show tonight, but I do have a video with Kevin in it, so we can get Kevin on the show, even though he's not on the show. And then we can get into the nitty gritty about some of the stuff. Did I talk to you about any of it? Have I told you what we're doing yet? Or are you virginal?
I am like the audience on the stream,
cool.
Eagerly awaiting the news.
All right. So check this out. This thing's short. It's 30-second commercial. Let me know what you think.
Psych.
Okay, I didn't realize we changed the end for that. All right, so that hopefully gets you excited. It is, why are we doing it in Burbank? Why are we opening another one in Southern California? What is all of this happening? Don't we already have one here? You guys already do the podcast from there. All of those questions. Why isn't it in St. Louis? We are doing something that I don't know if it's ever really been done well before, in that when you invest with us, not only do you become a part owner, which again, like I talk about this a lot in with like Oga's Cantina when people come into Scum and Villainy, which is the thing that you miss going to Oga's Cantina is it's a theme park ride, essentially. And you walk in and it's timed, and like, I don't know if anybody's ever met their best friend at Oga's Cantina, right? You go in, you put the timer down, and then you order some drinks, and then you move on to do Smuggler's Run. And the thing that Scum and Villainy that's exciting about Scum and Villainy is it's a community spot. And the reason that we have survived through COVID and all this stuff for so long is because people meet their best friends there, people hang out there, people have their birthday parties there, people have their 50th birthday party there and invite all their friends. And so for me, being the owner of Scum and Villainy has been awesome, but the only thing cooler than that is being the owner of Scum and Villainy with all the people who have helped us get through COVID, grow, survive 8 years in Hollywood. Like, we've been there for 8 years, which is crazy. You know, you're in. Mark's an owner. Kevin's an owner. So you'll be in with us if you want to do it.
I'm sitting in the owner's booth.
You're sitting in the owner's booth. You can go to, if you're like, oh my God, you haven't even told us how to do it. You can go to scumandvillainy.com right now and put in a reservation, or foundingfleet.com to put in a reservation right now. It'll redirect you to the crowdfund page. So yeah, that's what we got. Now, you guys want to see a Kevin video, and then I can talk about some of the cool stuff we're doing.
Sure. Although I couldn't hear the sound on the last one, so.
Oh, it didn't send. Hold on, let me. Here we go. I can. Okay. You know what we'll do? Let me show you guys. You guys want to see the concept art? Now let me.
Hell yeah.
Let me play the Kevin video, and then we'll do the concept art. Obviously, I'm well prepared. Here we go. Here's Kevin's video, or mine and Kevin's video.
Let me tell you something. I can't believe it's been 8 years since I first went into Scum and Villainy, first saw the place, first did my show there.
Do you remember when you finished the show, you got back home, what you texted me?
Yeah, I wanted to buy in. I wanted to own a piece of it, man. Like, I was like, if there's ever an opportunity.
Well, now it's your chance. Scum and Villainy is expanding, and we're opening the next evolution of a geek hub. And we're doing it right in downtown Burbank.
Burbank is the geek center of the universe, kids. The studios, the comic shops, toy stores, the movie theaters, and best of all, tons of free parking.
And even better than that, when you join, you can take a personality quiz, and then boom, you're placed into a squadron. Your own crew within the fleet, like, are you more Rebel Alliance or Browncoat? Trek, Galactica, suddenly that random Tuesday with nothing to do becomes your squadron's hangout night.
That's some sorting hat shit right there. That's fucking brilliant, man. It's like how Comic-Con feels like going home, but it only happens once a year, man. This is Comic-Con energy, but every night of the week.
Exactly. And we're bringing it to Burbank, like literally the pop culture capital of the world, Warner Brothers and Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network.
Burbank, man, where every barista is writing a screenplay and every Uber driver just pitched to Netflix last week, man. These are our people.
And speaking of our people, we're building a podcast studio space with a giant LED wall, full streaming setup in each part of the bar, and it's not just for you, it's for all creators.
That's because we're democratizing creativity, man, at the Rendezvous.
We've got tables to play D&D and board games upstairs, kids' superhero training sessions on Saturday mornings while parents drink coffee, cosplay building workshops, miniature painting, tons of stuff.
Stop. I can only get so hard, dude. Although I did hear kids programming, so wait, sorry.
Yeah, imagine this. You're 7, and the local hangout place you go for food with your family teaches you how to throw a shield like Captain America. Future kid grows up and directs Avengers 47, or whatever number we're on by
and
that
then we
point.
get 10% of that kid's salary for the rest of their lives, man. That would have changed my entire childhood, having a place like that. Instead of hiding all my nerdy shit, I'd have had a place that celebrated it, man. And that's what this is really all about, isn't it?
It is. We're creating a space that we wish existed when we were kids, where being obsessed with the fictional universes we love isn't weird. It's just Wednesday.
Very good, man. Okay, but real talk. How do we make this happen, man? Because this needs to exist. I mean, needs.
We're opening it up for everyone. We're looking for our founding fleet. The people who get it, not just the investors, although we need those guys too. But the true believers, the ones who understand why we would need a secret menu that only unlocks if you know the Konami code.
There's a Konami code menu?
There's going to be a lot of Easter eggs and special unlocks. The fleet will find out all about it first.
Look, I've been in enough pitch meetings over my career to know when something's special versus when it's just stuff, man. This isn't just stuff. This is that thing that you've been like looking for when you scroll through Instagram at 2 a.m. You're looking for that community, that place where your weird is the normal, and that's what we're offering.
We're not building a bar. We're building a headquarters for people who've been waiting their whole lives for a chance to join something like the Justice League.
And it's in Burbank, man. You can literally walk there from the giant Batman statue or the AMC Theater, the #1 in America. Imagine walking through that door, finding your squadron, and knowing that you helped build all this. Imagine being part of the secret origin story.
The founding fleet, the ones who were there before it was everywhere.
I'm in. I was already in, but I'm more in now after this. I'm so in that I'm through to the other side.
The Rendezvous, coming to Burbank. This is your invitation and your call to join us.
Be one of the founders, man. Be part of the story, because in 10 years, when there's one of these in every city on every corner and some kid asks, how did this all get started? You'll be able to say, I was there. I'm in the founding fleet.
Wefunder.com/Scum and Villainy. Come find your squadron.
As a great man once said, Excelsior, true believers. As a fictional great man once said, make it so. As another fictional great man once said, may the force be with you. And then as a bunch of the space pirate, what did they say on Firefly?
Shiny.
Shiny. Let's all make something shiny, kids.
I aim to misbehave.
And you know what? Don't take our word for it. Any campaign worth its salt needs celebrity endorsement. And I know some celebrities who might just be willing to endorse this. Take it away, boys.
Join the fleet, motherfuckers! Scum and Villainy Rendezvous! Give all your money so Burbank could be Nerd Bank!
All right.
Love
There
it.
we have it.
All of it.
So a lot of people in chat are asking questions that I legally cannot answer about financial stuff. I can't say that. You have to go to the page and look through the page, and it will explain to you all of that stuff. The SEC will hunt me down if it still exists after what's all going on, because I'm not a member of Congress yet. So I can't talk about the financial stuff here. What I can say, I can explain about the fleet if you're interested in that. I can explain, I can say that we have some amazing perks that I can't really talk about here, but you can go to the page and look at, which, saying it out loud, it sounds like it's just a scam to try to get you to go to the page, but it's, look, not my call, it's the lawyer's call. So we're still finalizing some of the details on the new location. We're still working on the design a little bit. But I can talk to you about what we have planned.
Tell us all the things. Tell us all the things that you are legally able to tell.
So we're going to have 2 floors. The downstairs is going to be a lot like the Scum and Villainy you know and love, except built into it, we're going to have a stage. So we'll be able to do better, more live streams of Fat Man Beyond. We'll be able to have more podcasters come in and do more live stream type events like that. We have a second floor that's going to be built for gaming and events also. So you and I had talked about you coming in and doing some stuff like you've done at different Comic-Cons there. The upstairs is the head canon of this is Rendezvous is a spaceship. And the admiral of the spaceship is a collector. And the collector jumps through the multiverse collecting items from all the different fandoms of the multiverse and places them in the Rendezvous. That is, the upstairs is like a spaceship set. The downstairs is like a holodeck. We'll call it a holodeck that is meant to resemble our favorite bar on our home planet of Hollywood, Scum and Villainy Cantina. And so the plan is to projection map the bottom floor so that every hour for a few seconds, the holodeck fritzes out and you'll get the holodeck grid scan lines over everything. And then the next hour you'll have like Matrix code. And then like the next hour, it'll be like X-Men Danger Room everywhere. To really like immerse people in this. And the other thing we're going to do is when you put an investment in, you join what we're calling the founding fleet. And you will take an aptitude personality test and you'll get tested into different squadrons. And each squadron will have its own mission parameters and things like that. And every time you come in, you'll be able to like get a badge and scan your badge. And we'll have a hologram android that will be able to send you on missions and update you to everything that's going on. And so, you know, you'll be able to come in and something like, you know, you'll scan your challenge coin or whatever. And our android will say to you, Hey, Mark, good to see you again. It's been 6 weeks since the last time you visited the Rendezvous. I hope your voyages off ship have been wonderful. We have bad news. Again, hypothetically, Gold Squadron numbers are down. As one of the top members of Gold Squadron, we'd love you to do some recruiting. Here are 10 icebreakers you can use to go and meet a new friend and try to recruit them to join Gold Squadron in the fleet. And when you're taking the personality test, the aptitude test, the questions aren't going to be like the crap you take online. It's going to be like, you're in your starfighter and the hyperdrive goes down and you have a 4-week sublight engine time to get to the nearest planet for repairs. You can watch one movie on the HoloNet over and over and over until you get there. Which movie do you choose? And you'll be able to pick like Lord of the Rings or Deadpool Wolverine or Logan or Princess Bride or Empire Strikes Back. And then based on everybody's answers to those questions, you'll get sorted. So everybody that you're hanging out with in your squadron, when you come in, you're all like-minded. Because one of the best things that's happened at Hollywood is, I mean, I've been invited to like over 20 weddings of people who have met at Scum and Villainy and ended up getting married and having kids. Just because it's like the easiest like opening line. Hey, what's your favorite Star Wars movie? Hey, what'd you think of Endgame? You know, it's an easy point of entry. So yeah, I'll show you guys. This is our concept art for the downstairs. Picture this as this will be Kevin and Mark's view of the bar when they're doing Fat Man Beyond.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Holy
so if
shit.
you're looking at it, we kind of got the bar in the back, tables, lots more booths than Hollywood. And then on the upper right, you can see the upstairs. We've got a big window that looks down into the holodeck part of the bar. Yeah, we're going to do a lot of virtual stuff. So if you're like, I live in Minnesota, why would I do this? One, it's a cool gift. Two, go to the page. You can get in. It's not like crazy to get in. Three, we're going to be doing tons of cool events and we're going to live stream all of it to our fleet members. So virtually you'll be able to hang out with us. We're going to have a lot of like message board type stuff that fleet members will be a part of.
I mean, there is also totally a world in which, you know, we do I don't know, Scum and Villainy Kessel Run tour where, you know, we do some live Fat Mans around the country and bring a piece of the Scum and Villainy Rendezvous vibe with us.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the goal would be eventually is that we have these all over the country and we can do a Fat Man Beyond Scum and Villainy tour at each different one. So everybody has an opportunity to see us live, but also we can stream between all of them. So you could watch Fat Man Beyond happen in Burbank from another city somewhere else. So this is the first step towards that making that a reality. So
I love it. Where can I give money again, JC? Where can I find out about how and when we can give money?
Scumandvillainy.com. Go check it out. There's so much more information on there than I can talk about right now and that I'm able to talk about. Everything you need to know is on that page. It's pretty long. There's a lot of perks. Look through the perks. There's some cool stuff there. I can't talk about it, but if somebody in the chat wanted to go in and talk about it, they could do that. Hint, hint. And it's on the second floor. We're going to have an 18-foot by 6-foot LED wall. So we'll be able to do screenings there. We're going to be able to do during the daytime. We're going to be open during the daytime. So content creators, I'm going to open it up for them to come in and use the LED wall as a backdrop for their podcasts and their stuff. Trying to democratize, like Kevin said, democratize creativity. Because who on earth can afford to pay rent, much less rent and a studio space? So I think it's going to be, if you like Scum and Villainy, if you like what we've been doing for 8 years out of Hollywood, like this is that on 2 times 10. Hollywood, when we opened, it was like pre-alpha. And over 8 years, I feel like I've maybe just touched beta. The Burbank location is going to be, it's going to be like Scum and Villainy 2.0. It's going to be so far ahead.
That's amazing. I can't wait. I can't wait to support this endeavor. And even more than that, I can't wait to fucking go and hang out and find my fleet. I don't know what my fleet's going to be, but we'll see, because my fandom is so wide and so broad. I'm going to try my best to cause your testing apparatus to short circuit.
We also, friends of Blackman Beyond, Todd Stashwick is involved. Brian Kessinger is involved. You might not know who Brian is, but Brian did all of the Calvin and Hobbes, like Star Wars crossover stuff you've seen on the internet. He's got some cool perks in there. Vanessa Marshall, who's like a prolific VO actress,
yeah,
has some cool stuff in there, and is super involved. Pod of Rebellion, my other podcast, is involved. So we've got some cool stuff. It's pretty neat. Will Wilkins is an investor.
Oh yeah, he is. So yes, go to scumandvillainy.com, read all of the things, make yourself a reservation to be part of the next phase of Scum and Villainies global domination. And yeah, that way we can go to another outpost, and then I can buy you some blue milk.
Yeah. Also, I mean, not for nothing, but how many of you all are coming out for Star Wars Celebration in 2027, the 50th anniversary of the release of Star Wars? Like, just imagine what's going to be happening then.
Oh, geez.
Get in now, get in now.
Can't even imagine. Amazing. So yes, go check out scumandvillainy.com. Go get on the reservation list. Discover all of the fucking cool perks that he's offering. And yeah, come be a part of this dream.
Oh, also, I just want to make very clear, that's not AI art. I hired an artist named Chris D to do that art. He was paid. It's all real by human hand.
In Yankee dollars, he was paid. Speaking of art that human people are doing, very quickly, I'm going to plug a thing that you can't buy yet, but you'll be able to buy in March. I wrote a story in this upcoming Marvel anthology miniseries called Logan, Black, White, and Blood, which, if you'll remember the Vader Black, White, and Red story that I wrote a couple of years back, it's similar to that, where it's a 10-page story just telling a Logan sort of self-contained adventure. It's in black and white and blood for red. That cover's by Sarah Pacelli, who is, I think that's how you pronounce her last name, who is not drawing my particular story. But I had a blast doing it. I mean, it's the second time I've gotten to write Logan. The first, extra, there's a no prize in the mail for you if you know the first time that I wrote Logan. I will say that it was also a short story. They're not handing me the keys to any of the X-Men anytime soon, but to get to scratch a particular claw-shaped itch was super fun. And
that's
so, yes,
cool. It looks sick.
Yeah, March 11th, the issue's coming out. It's in issue 3 of this 4-issue sort of miniseries thing. But that was super fun. So getting it every now and again, getting a tap on the shoulder. Do you want to come and play with some toys that you've always wanted to play with? And I will almost always say yes. Um,
Hey, quick shout out to Jacob Paris, who joined the
mm,
fleet already, and Daniel Graziade has joined the
oh,
fleet. It's happening,
welcome
people.
aboard.
It's happening. Get in. You're gonna it's gonna be so cool. We're gonna number like the number that you join the fleet in is gonna be your number throughout. So if being
Ooh,
first is important, that you'll be able to carry that.
outstanding.
Sorry.
Um, that all of that sounds super cool. Let's talk about a thing that is not super cool. That there's almost no upside to it. There's just various shades of downside, which is a thing that I think lots of observers and experts and analysts in Hollywood all kind of knew was at some point going to happen, which is Warner Brothers was going to at some point be put up for sale. When David Zaslav, who had been running the Discovery series of networks and channels, when Discovery bought Warner Brothers, which the number of times that Warner Brothers has been bought by people that I did not think were going to be able to buy a studio, bought a studio, um, is somewhat astonishing. But David Zaslav, as the CEO, started to make decisions that seemed to run counter to the idea of building a business that would both A, make art, and B, find a way to survive and thrive by making that art. He instead seemed intent on kind of devaluing parts of the company, hacking away at jobs, hacking away at IP, hacking away at any number of things to make it easier to both break apart and then to sell for pieces. It took him about between 8 and 10 years to do so. But here we are. Warner Brothers was put up for sale. There's the Warner Brothers Studio. There's HBO. There's HBO Max as the streaming arm. And then there are the linear TV channels, the TBSs and the TNTs and CNNs that do not seem to be at this point incredibly lucrative, probably a bigger drag on a stock valuation than they should be, but that's where we are. They put themselves on the block. There were a couple of interested parties. Paramount was one of those interested parties. David Ellison, whose father, Larry Ellison, is one of the richest men in the world. David Ellison had been running Skydance, this sort of incredibly successful kind of, I guess you could call it a mini studio, if not just an outright studio, that produced a lot of movies, put a lot of money in movies, started an interactive division. I will have I guess a caveat or a declaration or whatever, in that I worked for Skydance. The Marvel Black Panther Captain America game that I worked on, The Rise of Hydra 1943, there's a Skydance game. So I have taken money from ye old Skydance before, and from David Ellison indirectly. They wanted to buy it to add it to what seems to now be we want Paramount, we want Warner Brothers, we want apparently half of Hollywood. I think Amazon was in the hunt. Apple is always talked about as being in the hunt, but I'm not sure if they ever really were. And Netflix was in the hunt, and Comcast. The saddest part of all of this is no matter who was going to buy it, is that Warner Brothers, as both a legacy studio, like 100 years old, had been part of the foundation of what Hollywood is, was for the creative community, it is better to just have somebody else to sell to. It is better to have somebody else who's making movies. It is better to have another party out there that can help to amplify and spread a diversity of storytelling voices. And I do not mean diversity in a sort of quote unquote woke way. I mean, there should be places that make big movies and small movies. There should be places that make dramas and comedies and horror and science fiction, all of those things. The less studios that you have, the fewer kinds of movies you will get, and TV shows for that matter. That is what having a plurality of outlets offers you, a plurality of voices, a kaleidoscope of offerings for a community, for a customer base. So having any of them go away is bad. when Disney bought Fox. Not great. It's nobody really wants to have one less place to go. And so it became clear about a week ago. I think it was December 5th, not even a week now, or 5 days ago, that Netflix had made the offer to Warner Brothers that was the most exciting to David Zaslav and the board of directors. Netflix was going to buy Warner Brothers for somewhere around $80 billion. That is not great. Netflix, who famously has no interest in a theatrical business, who only puts their movies in theaters that they kind of own. And so what would that mean for the theatrical experience, of which Warner Brothers had always been a part of, had always been a very vocal and steadfast supporter of putting movies into theaters for people to see? What happens when a streamer buys them? A streamer who has had no interest in putting movies into theaters. Probably not good. What happens when the largest streamer buys the third largest streamer or the fourth largest streamer, depending on how you're evaluating these things? But HBO Max is pretty robust as far as a membership and a subscription base goes. It's worse in a certain degree because, again, less places to sell, less stories, not even considering the number of jobs that get lost. But it's a lot of people who are put out of work because synergy, because we don't need two sets of people who do the same thing. So half of these people are going to get fired. Monopolies are bad. They are almost always bad. And the larger market share that any one company has, the worse it is, honestly, for everybody. Paramount. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I mean, has nobody watched Citizen Kane?
We seem to forget all of the lessons that the past have taught us.
There were laws about this, right? I learned about this in film school. There were laws that were put in place because of William Randolph Hearst a million years ago, aka like 80 years ago, not even that long ago, owning too many pieces of media in a single market, right? And there were laws about banks, that banks couldn't be nationally and interconnected, and they had to be local. That's why you had like Washington Mutual and Chase and the bank, Nations Bank, which became Bank of America. Like, it's just like the stuffing inside of a turkey.
Yeah, and there was somebody in the chat that I saw who said something like, "It's better for audiences' wallets." Actually, it's not. The reason why any price is not as much as they can charge is because there's somebody else out there who will charge less. Competition is better for prices, is better for consumers. If there is no competition, they can charge whatever they want. And so if there's nobody who can stand up to Netflix, which probably there kind of already isn't anyway, they are leagues ahead of any content provider who also has a streamer by a factor of 2 or 3. And so it's bad for us if they buy Warner Brothers, who HBO Max, for better or worse, as competition, does help drive down prices. If there's no competition, they charge what they want. But hey, Netflix, they're a tech company. Tech companies are almost all bad, and definitely bad for art. But Ted Sarandos, who runs Netflix, is not a stupid man. And so, and the thing you can say about Netflix is that they have evolved their business over time. There are things they said they would never do that they have decided that they would do. And so maybe the idea of buying a studio that has a robust theatrical business, maybe it's okay. Maybe they've decided that is a business they do want to be in. Maybe having a vast content library of some of the greatest movies ever made is partially also in their best interest. I don't know what their plans are. I do know what Paramount's plans were going to be. And Paramount, who was very upset, again, David Ellison wanted Warner Brothers to add to what seemed to have been a collection of Hollywood studios. and has now launched a hostile takeover bid, which means that they're going directly to shareholders with more money. Some of that money is coming from Saudi Arabia. Some of that money is coming from his, again, insanely rich father. Um, and some of the bid is Donald Trump seems to be a pretty big fan of the Ellison family and what Ellison is doing as the owner of Paramount and now Viacom and CBS, and throttling 60 Minutes and sort of doing what might be considered irreparable damage to television journalism. Would be kind of happy if that same clan bought Warner Brothers and then destroyed CNN in the process. And maybe Donald Trump could make it a little bit easier for the regulators to wave a blind eye to a giant monopoly being born, that can, again, do catastrophic damage to an industry. All of it's bad. All of it's bad. I feel like the Netflix version is a little less bad, but none of it's great. None of it's great for art. None of it's great for consumers. None of it's great for the health of an industry. None of it's great for anything. So that's kind of where we are. We are in the the off theorized but always clearly on the horizon version of the hyper mega global corp, where there's just going to be 3 corporations left at the end of the day, maybe 2, maybe 1, that owns everything, and we have no choice anymore. We have no options anymore.
It's yeah, it's pretty, I mean, like, you're choosing death in 6 months or death in 18 months, right? Like, no matter who you're rooting for, it's not good. I've had conversations with a friend of mine also that, the United States doesn't really manufacture anything anymore, right? Except for war machines, I guess. And the number one export of the United States is culture, which is led by movies. And if you erase that and you get rid of that, what do we have to sell that people want to buy all in a global economy? And that's like, I mean, again, look at the explosion of K-pop and K-pop Demon Hunters and the need for something that's new and different. Like, that's not getting mined from here anymore. And when that's gone, what are we producing? What is this? How does this country trade with everybody else?
Yeah, I mean, it's, the American dream may have always been propaganda, but the way you sell propaganda is through culture. The way you sell the idea of America is tell the stories of what America thinks of itself. And the arm of that propaganda is cinema, is television, is culture, is how we export that story. And if we're not going to do that anymore, or if the people who control that voice are not the people who find ways to see the truth that can somehow be universal, and those people are artists. Those people are not politicians. Those people are not billionaires. Like, they don't understand the dream of America, despite the fact that they have both taken advantage of it and almost choked it out for everybody else. But, what America is and can and should be is an idea. And ideas do not come from tech companies. Ideas do not come from anybody else but folks who dream for a living. And if we stop doing that, if we stop selling that, like, we don't make the best cars, we don't make the best, I'm not even sure if we make the best weapons anymore. We don't make the best space platforms. We don't make the best much of anything anymore. And to your point, if we've decided to stop doing this, then America is no longer the indispensable nation.
I was a film student, but at University of Miami, they didn't think film students would ever get jobs, so they required us to have a double major. My double major is geography because it was the easiest one to get through in the shortest amount of time. But a lot of the geography teachers were from Europe. And I had a teacher in a geopolitics class that said he grew up in Denmark. And he said that America beat the Nazis in World War II with tanks, but won the war with bubblegum. Meaning, when American tanks rolled through Europe, the soldiers handed out bubblegum, which I think at that time was not a thing in Europe. And I could be wrong about that, but that was the idea behind it. And pass it out to kids. And those kids grew up remembering that moment. And that is what fueled American dominance, exceptionalism, all of those things for the last, 70 years. But it's that idea, right? It's like, this is the place of dreams. This is the place where Star Wars and Alien and Clue and all that shit was dreamed up. And if now it's a tech company or Amazon, which is a data gathering company, and a tech company, like, if it's like, well, this is what IMDb searches says is going to sell, so we need to make a movie like Die Hard crossed with Romancing the Stone. Like, what? Yeah, no, we know what it's going to sell. Like, it's not, none of it's real anymore. And nobody wants to buy that crap.
Yeah. I mean, we don't need to spend a bunch of time in excoriating A, B, C, D, or E. Like, and this is a symptom of something that's much, much larger and much, much deeper. But it's in the micro, Netflix buying Warner Brothers is not really a good thing. It's not good for anybody working at Warner Brothers. It's not good for audiences. It's not good for consumers. It's not good for almost anybody except for the X number of shareholders who might get a little bit richer off of this. Some of them will get a lot richer off of this, but none of the people who are really are going to need to be much richer. And it does just, it's another step down the road of us losing what had been wonderful about the studio system in Hollywood, and the indie system in Hollywood and the way we made movies. But there's nothing that you or I or anybody can do about it. And there's nothing that the consumer can do about it other than I'm canceling my Netflix, which, whatever. But it is worth noting that Netflix is going to buy Warner Brothers for $80 billion in cash and stock. They did not need the $18 a month that I now have to pay extra so my mom can watch Netflix instead of sharing my password. They never really needed that. That is just greed at work. And so there's no moral, amoral, or whatever. Like, they're going to make the money they're going to make, and they're going to take and squeeze us for what they can take and squeeze us for. So,
also, just looking at chat, like, I don't confuse what Mark and I are saying as like, well, it doesn't matter if it's Paramount or Netflix, they're both bad. Like, there's definitely a lesser of two evils, I think, if you have to pick. I think what we're saying is like, it's bad either. It's just, when is the bad going to hit? Like, it's bad either way.
It's bad either way, and there used to be laws against this.
I mean, there used to be laws against a studio owning a movie theater chain. Yeah. Because you couldn't make the product and distribute the product. Like,
Yeah. I mean, it used to be called the Paramount Decree because Paramount, I think, was the sort of chief abuser of that. And that got struck down about 2 or 3 years ago when it's like, yeah, no, you can be a movie studio and you can own your theaters and you can put whatever you wanted to put in there. And we have to hope that their desire to make money would encourage them to put other movies in those theaters aside from their own. Not sure if that's worked yet. Not sure if it's happened. I mean, Sony bought the Alamo Drafthouse, and I guess they are still operating, but I don't know. I don't know. It is just not good. And it seems to be trending further down the not good lane. But that is the biggest news of the last week or so. Disney buying Fox was also bad. The only people that it seemed to have been good for was Marvel, who got the X-Men and Fantastic Four back.
But even that wasn't good for us.
Yeah, so far, who can tell? But it lots of people lost jobs. And functionally, there are less places to sell things. And with less places to sell things, less people get to tell stories. And with less stories, we get an incomplete picture of what humanity can look like and feel like, because this is how we look at ourselves. The art we make is how we reflect who we are. And if less people make art, we have an incomplete picture of who we are. And so it ain't great, but it's where we are.
I mean, there is, I'll play counterpoint for 1 second, just so that we don't get out of here on like the most doom and gloom, is that when the studio system and everything, and now don't at me, internet, I'm just playing devil's advocate. When that all happened, there was no even television when Warner Brothers was founded. So if you wanted to watch a movie, you had to go to a movie theater. And then television happened. And now with the internet, now I know there's algorithms and stuff they can bury, but you and I, with the tools that we have, are more capable than Charlie Chaplin was with a crew of 50 people. Mm-hmm. To get an original story told. And we can do that on our phones, and we can self-distribute to our followers, to our people. And if that resonates with people, it can spread like a virus, right? And change things. Now, whether or not that's a sustainable business model, whether or not tech companies are going to bury that in an algorithm so it makes it almost impossible to happen, but we do have more ability now to fight that than we did when all of those laws were put into place. So there is hope. There is an exhaust port on this Death Star.
Yeah, there is hope, but the further we get into it, it's the like, once you are subject to the algorithm that neither of us control, the less opportunity we do have for a thing to become organic.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we don't even make our own decisions. If you really look at human psychology and the algorithm, like, they're making like choices for us.
100%. The things that get served to you do not get served to me. And so finding things, selection, all of that stuff is difficult. And even monetizing it. All of the people who are making money hand over fist to TikTok, who stopped once it seemed to be, absorbed by some other American company. YouTube's monetization features come and go. And people who had been able to service hundreds of thousands of people find it difficult to do so because they all got bought by some giant company. I mean, search on Google, which used to be I can find anything on the internet. You are maybe not finding anything anymore that they don't want you to see. Or they haven't filtered through an AI that is going to give you bad information based on bad sourcing.
Or like pay to play. Person who has the most amount of money gets on page 1.
Yeah. So I do, old man shouting at cloud. But I do remember those days, especially the early heady days of Twitter, where like you could get information that nobody wanted you to have because somebody who knew something or somebody who was somewhere was able to broadcast themselves. It used to be called citizen journalism. And there's things that we just did not and would not have ever known was happening, was able to be spread because of the sort of democratization of the internet. But that stuff is bad and gone. And so, like, yeah, Johnny, we are being a little bit of a bummer, but and occasionally, not often, but occasionally, we do need to stare down the barrel of exactly what is happening and try to wrestle with exactly what it means. And it's not good. But hey, you know what? For the time being, if Netflix is going to buy Warner Brothers, it's not going to go through for a couple of years. This is not a switch that gets flipped tomorrow and suddenly this part of the world changes. We are still going to get Warner Brothers movies. We are still going to get Netflix. We are still going to have, for the time being, a little bit of choice. But, things are slipping in not great directions. And we just need to be honest with ourselves about that. And not that you or I or JC or the 539 of you watching now or the millions at home who will eventually tune into this episode can do too much about it, because unless you're one of the 400 people who seem to run the world, we are victims to it. So, hey gang, it's almost Christmas. Smoke them if you got them. Yeah.
I mean, look, if you're tired of all of it, you can invest in a mom and pop business.
You can.
And go and spend some quality time at Scum and Villainy Rendezvous in Burbank. If you don't live here, you could tune in via the internet, hang out with us virtually.
I mean,
or you could buy a Tushy, and at least your butt won't smell.
There is that. All we can do at some point is just cleave to the things that we love and the people who love the same things, and find some solace in the in the Toy Story 3 of it all. Find people to hold hands with.
Yeah. I mean, thank God we're getting a Toy Story 5, because we really need that too.
We really do. To answer half a ball in chat, I am not working on the next God of War game. I'm working on the God of War live action TV show, which for the foreseeable future, I cannot say very much about. Other than we are busy writing it. The show had been picked up for 2 seasons from the jump, and so you're going to get quite a lot of God of War in the relatively near future. By relatively, I don't know we have no release date set. We have no anything set. Nothing that I can talk about. There are rumors floating all over the internet about casting. None of them are true. But hey, that's what the internet does, and I love it for it. But it's been a blast. And I think if you dig the game, you'll dig it. If you've never heard of the game, I still think you'll dig it. Because if there's one thing that can unite us, it's a giant fucking dude swinging an axe through all of his enemies. So let's just rally around that, you guys. Magic weapons and bald men grunting. Should we get into a little bit of news?
Oh my gosh, we still have news?
Let's
do news.
Let's do some quick news. 28 years later, Danny Boyle made the first 28 years. I mean, he made the first 28 Days Later movie. But now, I think it was last summer, 28 Years Later came out. A sequel is about to be released in January called 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple, directed by Nia DaCosta. Sony had an option for a third film. This was always envisioned as a trilogy, and they've picked up the option on that third film. And so Alex Garland is still writing it, currently writing part 3. Unclear who's going to direct. It might be Nia DaCosta coming back for part 3. It might be fucking Danny Boyle, who wants to return. But it seems that Cillian Murphy, who was the star of 28 Days Later, apparently appears in the Bone Temple, is in talks to return for 28 Years Later 3. So fuck it. Yes, please. I'd like more of that. I'd like more um incredibly culturally specific and human nature driven stories about the end of the world. Um, so yeah, bring it. Give it all to me. And I just like a studio saying, you know what? These movies have never made a ton of money. I think it's 300 million worldwide for all of the movies thus far. That is not Avenger size money, but like they're also not that expensive. And like I love the idea of a business of the movie cost us 30 and it made 60. That's a good business to be in. Let's do more of that. So give it to me. I'll take it. Um, so yeah, I'm fucking here for it. Give me more zombies.
The do you watch those movies? You and I don't watch horror movies. Do you watch the 28 movies?
The 28 movies I can kind of get down with. Like zombie movies I can kind of get down with. Give or take. But I saw 28 Years Later, and I did quite like it. It may or may not have a berth on my top 10 of 2025 list, which will be coming. I have a couple more things I need to see before I can, dry the ink on it. But it was a relatively good year for movies and TV. And I always have to have the caveat of this is a list of the things that were new to me this year. And so if it was just shit that aired this year, Andor would be number one because fucking season 2 of Andor is remarkable. And there's 2 or 3 episodes in that season that are among the best things I've ever seen. But the law is, as I've handed down to myself, only new things. So it gets to live in the honorable mention list. But yeah. And to a couple of people in chat are like, why don't you talk about Welcome to Derry? A talked about Welcome to Derry last Blackman Beyond with Princess Weeks. And because she and I are the hosts of the official Welcome to Derry podcast, I am staying a little bit. My name is Paul. This is between y'all about Welcome to Derry. I have seen all of it, and had seen all of it for a couple of weeks. So I won't say very much about it other than like there's some pretty great shit in that show. And I hope you dig it. I hope you're digging the podcast, but I'll not be examining or dissecting Welcome to Derry. If you want to hear that, it's in the Welcome to Derry podcast, wherever one gets the Welcome to Derry podcast stuff. Next bit is that Jennifer Lawrence is returning to the Hunger Games.
What?
Kinda. What?
Is she gonna play
yes.
Dr. Doom in it?
Yeah, pretty much. She and Josh Hutcherson are returning for the next prequel, The Hunger Games: Sunrise on the Reaping. And even though the prequel is set in the world of Panem 24 years before the events of that first Hunger Games story, there is a scene in the new Suzanne Collins book where a grown Peeta and Katniss Everdeen listen to Haymitch Abernathy, played by Woody Harrelson, as he recounts his Hunger Game to them. So they're not going to be in a lot by the sound of it. Maybe it's a framing device. Maybe it's a whatever. But it seems as if they are returning to don whatever garb they're donning as veterans of the Hunger Games as they listen to the history of the Hunger Games. Tell us a story. I think it's very like the Young Indiana Jones Adventures.
Oh, yeah.
Where you get one scene of Harrison Ford and then 3 seasons of it.
Or like Frodo at the beginning of The Hobbit, where you're like, this is going to be great.
Oh. So yeah, that is happening. And I'm here for it. That's cool. Um, I did quite like the first Hunger Game movie.
Did you read the books?
I never read the books. I never read the books.
I read those books. I was shooting a movie in Berlin, and I got the books on my Kindle, and I couldn't even sleep. Part of that was jet lag, but part of it was just like, oh my god, I can't stop reading these books.
I miss that. I miss that vibe. I every book that I read now is an audiobook because so much of my time is spent in the car. That there was a pretty vast time in my life, probably a good 20-25 years, where I read a lot for pleasure. It was never homework. It was just, I'm gonna read this book. I'm gonna read this book. Um, I have kind of lost my ability to read for pleasure.
You know what's
Um,
funny? I had the same thing, and I'm going to sound like an asshole saying this after I just made the Berlin comment, but you can tell when I read books. I was doing a movie in Tuscany, Italy, and I lived in a log cabin at the top of this mountain. And when we weren't shooting, the only thing I had to do, there's no internet, there's nothing. I just read books. That's all I had to do. And I read in like 6 weeks of making that movie. You know what the movie was? It was The Little Hours with
oh,
Aubrey Plaza.
mhm.
Um, in like 6 weeks of making that movie, I read like 9 books, which is crazy. And the crazy thing is that movie came out in 2016. I was over there in 2016 maybe, and I don't think I've read a book since. I read like nine. I read like a book and a half a week, and I haven't read a book since. Something about America.
Yeah,
Too
and like
busy.
now all I do is read for work, and
Mm-hmm.
it's either scripts that I need to read on the show and give notes for other writers. It's material to consider whether or not I want to work on it, and I almost never finish it. It's almost like I'll get far enough in to know, hey, all right, I think I know what this is, or I know that this isn't for me. Um, but yeah, just the idea of just cracking a fucking book because I seem to have free time, which I don't have anymore. Um, I kind of miss it. Um, I'm hoping next year will bring me some more opportunities to like just fucking just read again. To have a good time again. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you know, to lose myself in something that is equally powered by both a writer's vision and my own imagination.
Mm-hmm.
I become a very passive engager with story, and the
Yeah.
active nature of reading a book and having to be, you know, uh, complicit in building that world is something that I do kind of miss. So, yeah, that maybe I'll make that a resolution. Stick 17 wants to know why next year, because I will be spending a fair amount of time in Canada next year, away from my family, on location, um, working on God of War. We're shooting in Canada, and I will be on set for a chunk of next year. I don't know how much of that chunk, but um, I'm very much looking forward to it.
Should
And
do a Fat Man Beyond live show from Canada up there.
why the hell not? Why the fucking hell not? Um, we did once before. We did a Vancouver show way back in the day. Um, but yeah, so hopefully I can make that a resolution for 2026 is to actually crack a fucking spine of a book and get into it. Um, up next on the news, this bit of it like did make me kind of happy. Um, there are two re-releases happening next year. Both of which, one of them is it's a relic of a childhood now long since gone by. The other one is maybe my favorite time ever being in a movie theater. But they are re-releasing, and I think it's next September. No, it's next like March. Um, they had found one of the few remaining prints of A New Hope that was the original print from 1977. No special edition business, no nothing. It is just fucking Star Wars. and they are re-releasing it for the 50th anniversary. Um, it was found like a year ago. It played in the UK, and I remember we covered it
Yeah,
at the
Claire
time. But
went.
yeah, Claire went, Claire Bateman King went, Kathy Kennedy went to introduce it, and apparently they've decided that let's just screen that.
Have you seen the original one? Like,
It's been a long time.
obviously you've seen it, but have you seen it since like 1995?
The last time I saw it was early 90s, and I remember buying the laser disc of the OG pre-special edition. Yeah.
I have it. I have those laser discs like right behind me.
Yeah.
Um, it is okay. Everybody earmuff, but Mark. I have it in 4K.
Ooh.
We should have a hangout and watch it. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. Can I jump in? I'm sorry, I don't mean to hijack the story, but can I just excitedly talk to people who haven't seen that movie in 30, 40 years?
Mm.
Every time they fuck with that movie, they run it through a computer. So, and they recolor time it. So when you're watching A New Hope on Disney Plus, the sky is a color of blue that it has never been in the Tunisian desert. Because they just saturate it and saturate it and saturate it. When you rewatch that movie, it's not even the cutscenes. It's the color. It's the way the lightsaber looks. It looks so much, almost like more real, because it's not hyper saturated. Luke's lightsaber in A New Hope is almost white. It's not really blue. It's almost white. Which is why the toys, it was yellow. But if you watch it on Disney Plus, it's like same color as the opening font. It's so wonderful. I hope it does another $100 million.
Yeah. I mean, I'd spooled up New Hope because my son's girlfriend who came to the cantina had never seen it before or had seen bits and pieces of it. So like, let's just watch the piece where they go into the cantina. So when you go to the cantina, you know what the vibe is. And I was just so saddened by how much digital junk is in that. Like, we're rolling up to Mos Eisley for the first time. And it's like, oh shit, there's all this. There's a do back here, and there's a bunch of things here, and there's all of these the fucking light speeders and new droids, and it's like, oh, why?
Yeah, I'll tell another story that's gonna get me in trouble. A couple years ago, the Super Bowl for most bars is a wonderful day. For Scum and Villainy, it's the worst day of the year. Every single year, it's the worst day of the year. And a couple years ago, I was like, what can we do to get people in here on the Super Bowl? And I showed the original trilogy all day. And I have friends who are not famous, but they have famous friends. And at all the Super Bowl parties of all these famous people, the talk was, I think Scum and Villainy is showing the original Star Wars trilogy today. What the fuck? Why would they do that during the Super Bowl? And I will tell you, we were packed all day.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Don't ask me where I got them.
I'm not gonna.
Because I can't tell you. But if you search 77, 80, 83 project, I think Project 77, I don't remember.
Yeah, I remember that.
You can dig them up. They're amazing. Oh my God, it's amazing.
So I am very much looking forward to sitting back in a theater and seeing what I saw in 1977. That's a fucking joy.
Do you think they're going to denoise it and de-grain it and make it look?
It would be it'd be a shame if they did, but they probably will. There'll
like
be somebody.
do it a little bit. Like take anything that's egregious off, make it look like it did back then, but you got to leave it, right?
Yeah, I mean, like if you're gonna do it, do it. If you're not gonna do it, then just do the special editions again.
Yeah.
But if the idea is time travel, then don't fuck with where I'm time traveling to. Just let it be what it was. Um, the other film that's getting a re-release, which was my favorite in the cinema experience, is Avengers Endgame. In the lead up to the December 18th, 2026 release, they're re-releasing Endgame in late September 2026. Don't know how long this could be in theaters for. I'm sure it's also part of the like, can we get Endgame over Avatar? Like, can we re-release it just the grosses? Can we get another 100 million out of it to tick it into the highest grossing movie of all time? But I mean, I went fucking opening night to see that movie in the theater, and all of the like all of the clips that we had been watching during the COVID lockdowns, to feel something again of the in theater reaction to Cap lifting the hammer, to to the portals opening up, to that is America's ass, all of that stuff. um being fucking in the house for that is was amazing, was cathartic, was
Yeah.
the reason why you go to the movies.
I still cry when Cap grabs the hand. I still get misty eyed
Yeah,
thinking about that moment. It was
fucking, the staticky voice of Sam Wilson saying, "On your left, Cap." Like, always, even thinking about it, I got fucking goosebumps doing it.
yeah.
My other favorite part of that night for me was, I went with a bunch of fucking people, a bunch of nerds and blurds and all stripes. One of those nerds was Yvette Nicole Brown, who did not tell us that she was in the movie. And so I'm sitting like 2 seats away from Yvette in the movie theater. And then like Yvette shows up on the fucking screen. And we're all just like, how did you not tell us that you're in the biggest fucking movie of all time? And she's like, I didn't know. Bullshit. He's like, well, I shot this 3 years ago. I didn't know if it was for Endgame or if it was for Infinity War. But yeah, it was one of those like, only in Hollywood are you going to be sitting next to a person who's in the biggest movie ever made, who didn't A, know it, and B, didn't tell us. And the surreal nature of that is one of my favorite fucking things in Hollywood. So you never fucking know.
Yeah.
You just never know. So yeah, I'm thrilled to get to go back into the theater and watch that again, and attempt to pretend as if I've never seen it before.
Stanley299 says you guys like that movie too much, Endgame. I don't think we're saying that Endgame is a perfect movie, but the experience of seeing Endgame at that moment and having those payoffs that they worked towards for 10 years, like, that was, it's not a perfect movie. The time travel stuff drives me crazy. But on your left, and him grabbing the hammer, and Hemsworth being like, I knew it. Like, if that doesn't get you emotional, like,
yeah,
what else can they do? Like, do you watch Field of Dreams and feel nothing?
Yeah, like you're right. It's not that it's such a well-made movie that we will study it forever. It is, but what it is it's a reward for investment. That like, we spent 10 years watching these movies, and it's to then get to sit there and be just like patted on the back for that. To be like, you know what, buddy? These are for you now.
Mm-hmm.
This is why you were here. Is a fucking amazing feeling. And it did feel like an ending to 10 years of story, an ending to 18, 19, 20 movies. Like, that's never happened before. And so that level of catharsis, that level of of just release. And then for us a year later to be stuck in the house, um, yearning to once again be back in the theater, packed to the gills, footloose and fancy free. Um, yeah, it was phenomenal. So to get to sit again in a crowded theater and watch that movie again, it won't be the same, but it'll be close. It'll be close.
I bet you some of that stuff still plays better than it ever than it has since, right? Like there's just going to be something about that communal thing, even though everybody knows it's coming this time.
Yeah,
That's still going to feel so good.
yeah. I
Connection,
mean,
human connection, right?
I one of the great gifts of living in Los Angeles is that, and I'm sure that there are other major cities who have this kind of vibe. Like I know New York does, I'm sure Chicago does, I know San Francisco does, but a healthy repertory theater scene where like at somewhere in this town there's a movie that you love that you've never seen on the big screen playing on the big screen somewhere. And so I went to go see, this must have been a couple of months ago, I went to go see Hunt for Red October at the Aero Theater in Santa Monica.
Oh, that
And
theater's
like
awesome.
being in a crowded theater, seeing a movie that I haven't seen on a big screen in 30 years, you see it differently than you do at home. Every movie is funnier in a crowd in places that you don't remember being funny, because you've
Mhm.
only ever watched it by yourself.
When they re-released Return of the Jedi a few years ago for its 40th in 2023,
Mm-hmm.
I went and I saw it on the big screen. I have seen Return of the Jedi, not exaggerating, no less than 600 or 700 times in my life. I have only seen it in a movie theater 2 or 3 times when it was re-released for the special edition. When I went again, I saw stuff that I had never seen watching it on a big screen. Did you know that Darth Vader in a lot of shots is out of focus in Return of the Jedi? You don't when you watch it at home. Even on, I have a OLED TV, and it still looks good there. But in the movie theater, he's soft. Like
Yeah.
just wild stuff like that on a movie I've literally watched for 20,000 hours. It's still, you see stuff that's so different.
There's something about being in a house and watching it on the screen. I mean, I saw fucking Master and Commander at the New Beverly, and I had never seen that on the big screen. I love that fucking movie, and I was like a grown ass person when it came to theaters. Didn't have an interest at the time, but getting to go back in it and seeing it and like just fucking feeling it, and again, it always strikes me how funny movies are. Jaws is hilarious if you see it with a
Mhm.
crowd. Like there's a lot of stuff in the front end of that movie that is just played for comedy. That I've never laughed at home by myself, but in a house with people who love the movie, yeah. I mean, there's nothing quite like it. So yeah, I will happily give another $20 to go sit and watch Endgame in a theater with people who want to be there and people who are fucking excited to pretend once more. Um, Here for it. The other bit of news, which is, it's about a week old, but, and it's funny because there's no real information to this news item, but it's that Scarlett Johansson is in final negotiations to join the cast of the Batman 2, opposite Robert Pattinson. Don't know what she's playing. I mean, I'm sure there's, a dozen theories that one could have which character she's going to be. It doesn't feel like she's going to be Catwoman, so we know that is fine. But there are other ladies in the Batman mythos. She could 100% be playing Harley Quinn. She could be playing Silver Sable. She could be playing, there's a bunch of folks that she could fucking get under the hood of. So yeah, I won't even speculate, but it's fucking cool. And eventually, theoretically, we're gonna get that movie. Yeah, she could be Poison Ivy. Lots of ways to go. Lots of ways to go. But that is all the news we have for this episode.
I just want to say, because people have been mentioning it in chat, I had a Zoom call a couple weeks ago with Matthew Lillard about things I cannot discuss. But that dude was so kind and awesome and authentic, and so I'll just leave it at that.
Sorry, humongous. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, I have gotten to meet Quentin Tarantino a couple of times. I can't go too much into what those meetings were or what they were about. I will say that he is an incredibly interesting cat who's also incredibly weird. And that is not in any way meant as a pejorative. I don't know how he feels. I mean, well, clearly we know how he feels about Paul Dano. I do sort of feel that perhaps he forgets that he he when he says a thing, it travels, I think, maybe even a little further than he might have thought it would have traveled. And there are some times that, I suppose you just do forget occasionally that the internet doesn't forget, and that he is like a human starting pistol when it comes to things that he may or may not say off the cuff. I think Paul Dano's great. I quite like him in, There Will Be Blood. I will say he is not the person I think of when I think of There Will Be Blood, but still, like, power to that dude. And he seems to have handled this incredibly short lifespan story with a fair amount of grace, because there's nothing to be gained by coming out and trying to shout down Quentin Tarantino. Like, this will pass over in a week. There will be some other dumb thing that somebody else says or does that that will erase this from the public consciousness. But it did feel like a drive-by that felt unnecessary and unwarranted. But that is all I have to say about that.
Yep.
But yeah, were there any cues to A?
I got some quick cues, that one for me and one for you, and then we can do some real Q's and A's. Humongous asked me, why don't you add movie screens to Scum and Villainy? We're gonna have one at Rendezvous.
Oh yeah.
And I am not able to just like come out and be like, we're showing Batman 89. Like, it costs money to do that. You have to buy a license to show the movie. But there is a license that you can get as like a restaurant bar to show movies in. You just can't advertise the movies. It needs to be peer-to-peer. So I could DM you and say we're showing Batman 89. I could email you and say we're showing Batman 89. But I can't post it on our social media. I can't put it on a billboard outside. I can put it on a billboard inside the bar, because at that point it's one-on-one. So we will be doing that when Scum and Villainy Rendezvous opens in Burbank, but you'll have to be part of the fleet. You'll have to be on our email list to know what the movies are, or else we're just going to say, hey, we're showing a really cool movie. Come and be surprised, or join our email list and we'll tell you what it is. So that will happen there for sure. And it will all be awesome stuff. Surge JG2 for Mark. When you make the Welcome to Dairy podcast episodes, is there a lot of content that has to be cut due to time constraints? It's so good, I wish it would last for hours. Do you do a lot of editing on it?
It's the most highly produced podcast that I've ever had anything to do with. And I say that in a good way. But the folks at Spoke Media who approached me to do the podcast, when Princess and I sit down to talk about the episodes, we can talk for about an hour, maybe an hour 20, an hour 30. And, they will trim that and cut it. And then there's interviews, and then there's clips, and then there's more interviews, and all of which gets sort of massaged and cut for time and cut for space. And then we go back in and we'll do pickups to help join pieces of narrative and flow and thread that got lost. And it's like, oh, we got turns out we got this person to talk on the phone, so now we got to have a new intro for that. Like, there's a lot of that kind of stuff. But yeah, there's I don't know if anybody has any interest on the corporate side of releasing the uncut dairy tapes. That would be about 2.5 hours per episode. um it's been incredibly fun to do, and also incredibly fun to see how it gets done. um Even though, as I told them, I've only ever listened to one episode just to see what it sounded like, because I never listen to episodes of a podcast that I have anything to do with. um I did say, it's like, yeah, I've done about 375, almost 400 episodes of Fat Man Beyond. I've listened to 2 of them.
Did you re-listen to Battlestar Galacticast?
I listened to the first couple because I edited the first couple, and then very quickly decided I never want to do this again. And then we found a producer to do it, and even after that, was like, nope, I'm good.
Do you find that you edit yourself more heavily than you would edit Trisha?
100%. Especially because the first couple, we recorded it at her house, and she is a wonderful woman who loves cats. I am a deplorable human being who is allergic to cats. And so the first couple of episodes are just me cutting out my sniffles and sneezes and gasps for air as my chest is closing on me because of the preponderance of dander. Yeah, it was just me, just like, and to the point where it sounded bad, because every breath that I'm taking is cut off, because like half of a tick later, it's a sneeze.
Yeah, I edit the Pod of Rebellion podcast, which is the Star Wars podcast where the cast of the show and I are rewatching the Star Wars Rebels episode by episode. And I listen to them. I'm like, they all sound great. And then I pop on at the end to do our like Star Wars fact check. And I'm like, oh, I sound terrible. And so the entire hour podcast, I'll make like 3 edits. And then on my 6-minute section, there's like 60 edits. I'm like taking out every breath, every I'm like, I sound so dumb. Yeah. I probably don't sound that dumb to everybody else, although if you ask chat, maybe. But it was, man, I'm brutal on myself.
Yeah. I mean, and I think that is a natural thing. That is oh dear God. Like, is that how I sound? Is that what I said? Oh, all bad. Can we just not have this part of the episode?
Okay. I got a couple questions here. Speaking of cats, Ben Newen Space 6688. Pet preference in real life and pet preference if we had no responsibility, which I'm assuming means we have no we don't have to take care of the pet. So if we wanted a pet, one that we have to take care of, what would it be, and what would it be if we didn't have to worry about it?
I love dogs, but my allergies to cats also extends to dogs, which is a thing that I didn't know when I was a kid, and then would just suddenly randomly get like colds. I'm like, what happened? Like, well, you slept at your aunt and uncle's house and they have a dog and you didn't know that you were allergic. And so you were just living in the fucking dander zone. I would like to have a dog, can't have a dog. But if I could have fucking any animal as a pet without having to worry about, responsibility or whatever, I want, Smog. Smaug.
Oh.
Give me a giant fucking dragon as a pet. Yeah, I mean, and not like Smog the asshole. Just give me a giant fucking dragon. Give me, the dragon from Dragonheart. Give me the dragon from Dragon Slayer. Give me a goddamn dragon. Puff the Magic would also be fine.
Dracarys.
Yeah, like that seems the best version of having a pet, which is also a weapon of mass destruction.
I mean, that's way better than my answer. I had a pug, a fawn pug, for 19 years who passed away the day after her 19th birthday.
Oh, geez.
I'd probably get another pug. My wife would never let me do that. My wife thinks that the dog was reincarnated as my daughter because she's so mischievous. But if I could have a pet that I didn't have to take care of, I'd want an owl. We had owls at the house for my daughter's birthday, and it was so cool.
I mean, owls are both incredibly cool and fucking crazy. Like, I don't understand how they work. I don't understand how the engineering of owl is a thing. They're the world's perfect predator, but also seems to be made of just like weirdness and fluff and no bones and yeah, crazy. I second your owl. Feels like it's a more approachable pet than my dragon.
Have you ever seen them walk? Also, walk on the ground. Yeah. They look so funny when they walk. YouTube it. It's hilarious.
Yeah. And then when they get wet, they just look like these. They look like fucking Dobby the house elf.
Yeah, owls are cool. Okay, next question. What is the best, most memorable gift you've given someone?
Memorable gift I've given somebody. I I remember giving a friend who was moving to New York. I had kept an old subway token from when I used to live in New York. And it was a legit official fucking subway token that I just didn't put in the turnstile and I had kept for like 10 years, maybe even longer. Might have been like 15 years. And when this friend was moving to New York, I had it mounted on a chain and gave it to them. And they didn't understand what it meant to me. And so it was just oh, hey, thanks. And I'm like, oh, but you don't. Okay, see, this is a relic of time gone by that for me meant freedom and latitude and the ability to investigate and explore a brand new city. And this, yeah, one of the Y one. No, sorry, it was a hexagon one. According to Doubt 813-1977 in the chat, it was the hexagon ones, and like the sentimentality of it was lost on the person I gave to, but I still love that as a present. And yeah, it was the best gift that I ever gave, and also the best gift I ever gave that was not met with what I hoped would be the appropriate response. I can't hear you. Uh-oh. He's gone. We lost JC.
Oh, okay, I'm back. Sorry. Holy cow. I don't know why that happened. That's sad though.
It is. And I kept it to myself, but also never really forgave that person.
Yeah. Yeah. But wouldn't it be cool if unbeknownst to you, they wore it on their neck randomly and it like saved their life? Like they got shot at and it like the bullet ricocheted off of it.
That would be the best version of that story. Was not the case, but still.
I don't know. This isn't really from me, but like, like when you're with a partner and you give a gift, it's kind of coming from both of you.
Mm-hmm.
Jen's mom and dad split when she was 4 years old. And so for years, and Jen and her mom just got in the car and drove to New York. She was born in Los Angeles. Her dad stayed here, and she never really saw her dad again. It's sporadically throughout her life. And when Jen's mom left, the only stuff that went was stuff that could fit in the car. And she left behind her varsity letters and her diaries from when she was in high school and early college. This is 1987, 1988. A couple years ago, I think 2023, Jen's half brother shares the dad as a parent, messaged Jen, and they don't talk very much, messaged Jen, said, hey, Dad gave me a few years ago, Dad gave me a bunch of Mom's stuff, and I don't know what to do with it. I don't want it in the closet anymore. Do you want to come and see what's in there? So we drove down to Temecula, which, like, I mean, in Los Angeles traffic, that might as well be driving cross country. It took like 3.5 hours to get there. And it was the box of all of her diaries and stuff that had survived for almost 40 years, passing between ex-husband and ex-stepson and this whole thing. We brought those back and wrapped them up for Christmas. And to see a 70-year-old woman's face, not know what it was, we didn't give her any hints, open it up and become 17 years old again, was the most magical thing I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, that's awesome.
So that's a really long story to answer a question, but I love it. I hope somebody does that for me one day.
Yeah, it'll be hard because I don't keep diaries. So it's just like, we found a 1997 MacBook Pro.
I know. It's like, people, for me, I'd be like, I mean, like, I'm like Kevin, I've never thrown anything out. My grandfather gave this to my mom when I was born because she was calling me JC, and this is Joe Cool. So, like, my daughters are going to have to deal with all the shit that I never threw away and kept. So they're going to have the opposite problem. Again, yeah, like 1980, friends.
Yeah.
Let's see. Which movies? This is from, we already did one from Surge. Let's do .8131977. I have a question. I know DC IP is part of the Netflix deal, but what exactly is the future of DC Comics? Will we see Netflix licensing DC out to Dynamite like Disney does with Maleficent and Scar?
I don't really know. Nobody knows at this point, what 2 years hence Netflix will decide to do with DC. If I had to guess, I would say not very much. I think as a profit center, it is relatively self-contained and relatively robust. And also, like, I remember when I worked for the Hollywood Reporter, we were at the time owned by the same people who own the Dodgers. And like, so looking at the line item on the giant budget sheet of whatever they were spending money on, here's the 40-50 billion dollar operating budget of the Dodgers, and then here's fucking Hollywood Reporter. And so when Netflix at some point will look at, like, all right, well, are we going to spend $50 million an episode to make Stranger Things season 6? Sure. Will we then give this money to DC for them to make, a year's worth of comic books or whatever, which is a pittance compared to that, compared to what they spend on original content every year, whatever their spend is? I think it's something like $20 billion they spend a year in content. And then there's DC over there in the corner. Something tells me that they leave DC alone, especially if DC is making them money. especially if, hey, create things for us to not even license from ourselves, just make us new IP, continue caring and feeding for the IP that you already have. That's my, like, hey, if nobody's giving me a studio to run, or a giant hyper mega global corp to run, but if it was mine to do, then it would be like, just fucking the things that are working, let them work. When they stop working, then we pay attention. But we have bigger fish to fry than worry about whether or not Vertigo Comics is launching this year or next year. But yeah, I hope they leave it alone. Leave well enough alone.
I have no idea. Mark's the expert on that. There's one other question from Adam Schindley that I can't really answer, but I feel like it's would kind of appropriate to go out on. Sure. They were asking if we have any favorite memories of Grace, Kevin's mom. I have crossed paths with her maybe a couple times over the last 15 years of knowing Kevin. And she was always super nice and really eager to talk. And that's all I can, that's my memory, is just how excited she was to share her thoughts on things.
Yeah, I only met her a couple of times. I mean, I remember the first time I met her was we were in London doing like the MCM comic book convention or something over there, but they brought Fat Man Beyond to the UK. And I think Kev had tacked on like a week or two or whatever it was to take Grace to the UK for maybe her first visit there. And so they had spent, whatever it was, like they had been tourists for a while before they ended up at the convention. So getting to talk to her a little bit about how excited she was to be overseas and seeing stuff. We went to Stonehenge, we went here, and we went to Piccadilly Circus, and I remember meeting her. I think again, I want to say that Kev threw a birthday party for himself in LA. It might have been his 50th or something like that. But Grace had come out for that, and I met her a second time in LA. And like my impression was always how proud she was of Kev. Like, and always invested and always curious and always just excited to share in the love that people had for him, and to get a little piece of that, somewhat refractory love that people had for her for giving them Kev. And I always found that was really, really sweet and just really lovely. And she just seemed like a super fun lady, but also a product of her time, and like some of this was alien to her and some of this was weird and she just didn't understand. Like, I don't quite get how the internet, but it didn't matter really. Fundamentally didn't matter. But yeah, I did not get to spend very much time with her outside of those two circumstances, but she always seemed like a ball. Yeah.
I think one of the things that I think about in terms of like of all the things that Kevin's made and all the things that Kevin's written, the thing that I go back to most often is the scene which is silly, but it's the scene in Jay and Silent Bob Reboot where Ben Affleck comes back as Holden from Chasing Amy and has a talk about being a parent with Jason. And Kevin wrote the thing about like you live your whole life trying to be Batman and the hero of your own story, and one day you wake up and you realize everything you've done is not, I'm paraphrasing poorly, but everything you've done in pursuit of becoming Batman, you realize that you really are Thomas Wayne and that your kid, everything you've done is for them to get them. Basically, you wake up and you realize you're the tertiary character and the plot point in your kid's life. And I think about that all the time. and I feel as if that gets written from a point of view of somebody who reveres their parents. And so I think, my favorite dialogue from any of Kevin's movies, I think it's, a parallel way of him talking about the way he feels how his parents were for him. And I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's all love in a way that I don't know how many people can quite share or empathize. Because, 9 times out of 10, maybe more than 9 times out of 10, people's relationship with their parents are complicated, and I have no real insight into Kev's relationship with Grace, other than what I hear from Kev. But it never really struck me as a complicated one.
Mm-hmm.
It just seemed like she just was incredibly proud of him, and supportive and encouraging and all of those things that one wishes a mom would be.
Yeah.
I do not say any of this to cast aspersions on my mom. Not that she's listening, but my mom is a super lady. But it's and everybody's relationship with their parents is different. But there did seem to be something incredibly pure about Kev's relationship to his mom. And it's beautiful, and it's lovely and not over, which I think is the other thing, is that, like, relationship is still there, the love is still there. So power to you. If one is a God-fearing person or a God-believing person, then God bless. If not, as I am not, I'm a inveterate atheist. But the residual love a person has for another person is the thing that exists beyond.
Mm-hmm.
So love remains everlasting.
Yeah.
So yes, we will all, in our own due time, in our own fashions, pour one out for Grace, and pour one out for Kev. It is a hell of a thing. So on both sides of the equation.
Yeah.
So fucking hell yeah. It is a big bucket of win, as Goldman Vision said. But yeah, man, that's all I got for this week. That's that is all that's in the Black Man Beyond bucket. There will be at the very least one more episode this year. I don't know when exactly it'll be. I'm not sure if it'll be a black man or be a fat man. Don't know when we'll get Kev back, but I will have a top 10 to rattle down for folks, in case their holiday viewing with family needs a little bit of ammunition.
And I'll have Mark send it to me first. So if you've got me again all night, I'll watch those ones at least then I have something to say.
There you go. Or the ones that we can watch. But and at some point I'll have to figure out whether or not the timing makes sense. We'll talk about Avatar 3, which I've seen the Fire and Ash and have some feelings about. I will not tip one way or another how those feelings manifest. But there is plenty enough to talk about. So, but yeah, man, that is it for this episode of Black Man Beyond, which also somehow still fucking managed to be 2.5 hours long.
It's because we're all having a good time.
Because we're all having a good time. We talked about the wonders of Tushy. Go to hellotushy.com, use the code FATMAN10 at checkout, save 10% off your next order. We talked about JC's brand new expansion plans for what will be Scum and Villainy Rendezvous. Talked about, I got a comic coming out in March, Logan, Black, White, and Red. I did not talk about my misgivings that Disney and Marvel do not seem interested at all in pushing Eyes of Wakanda for any awards consideration. Even though this is for your consideration season, I'm not gonna say nothing other than what, huh? Regardless of how one feels about it, regardless of how anybody feels about how it was written, there's like 300 people that worked on that show that deserve a chance to shine and be recognized for their work, and to not even make a half-hearted attempt to curry some favor for it mystifies me. But Disney's going to do what Disney's going to do. Who am I to say? All right. I've washed that right out of my hair, what little hair there remains. But yes, we will see you all soon. We will all be back together one last time before year end and talk about the things we loved, and talk about some of the things that we liked, and not talk about any of the things that we hated, because life's too short.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you all for tuning in. Impromptu on a Wednesday evening. And thanks to J.C. for hanging out and making all of this happen. Thanks to Will Wilkins for continuing to keep the chat alive and continuing to make the pipes in the background do the pipe things, and make sure that that we had Tushies to promote. Thank you.
Spray that butt, y'all.
Keep that ass wet so that it then gets to stay dry. But yeah, have a good night. For those of us here at Fat Man Beyond and Black Man Beyond, we'll see you next time. Same black time, same black channel, smilecast.com or youtube.com/Kevin Smith. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
What do you get the nerd that has everything? An investment in Scum and Villainy Rendezvous. Burbank. Christmas. Ho, ho, ho. That's right.
Live long and prosper.
That's not Star Wars. So say we all.
This is the Maquette. Greetings, everybody, and welcome to the AKA Ask Kev Anything.
Every saga has a 10-year anniversary, ladies and gentlemen, and this is what happens when Jay and Silent Bob get old. I'm Kevin Smith. Cheers,